Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and today this is your end of day recap for Thursday, June 14th. So the theme of the day, I would say momentum, momentum, and more momentum, and a bunch of names. Tech, small cap tech, large cap tech, Chinese internets. We're going to go through some of those moves today. I'll give you my opinion on what's going on with all those names. First things first, we'll talk a little bit about earnings that went up after the close. Adobe, one of these big tech names that went up. Very strong earnings. Again, 1.66 versus 1.5. 2.2 versus 2.15. Their guidance was also pretty good too. So why am I going over this name? Just very indicative of what we've seen in tech earnings this quarter. A lot of names run into earnings and then they get sold off a little bit. So we did not play this name in the trading room today. Adobe. We actually played the run into earnings, which has been much better. Which has been a much better trade for in the tech space. But I think this name will get bought. Keep an eye on this name. It seems to do this on earnings quite a bit, and then buyers come back in. So maybe not tomorrow, but in the near future, I would take a look at this name. Also, another name that reported after the close, which I'm interested in because they had really good numbers, was JBL, Jabil Circuits. Sorry, I was going to pronounce that incorrect, so I had to stop myself. But real good numbers. The thing about this name is it's got a clear 31. So let me bring up just a daily chart and I'll show you this. This is the last time it reported earnings. Great numbers last time. And it could not get above, it could not clear that like 31 and a half resistance. So take a look at that tomorrow. You may get a chance for a breakout in this name. We'll see. It'll definitely be on my radar, especially with the numbers they put up. Third quarter net revenues 5.44 versus 4.9. They crushed it. 46 cents versus 44 as well. So very strong. All right, so what did we see today? We'll kind of start with one of the first name, in terms of the newer Chinese names, the IP Chinese internet, but the IPO names, just unbelievable. And I know everybody's talking about these names, but we saw a call buy right on the open. This name has been unbelievable. It's basically doubled in a matter of a month. I think even maybe less than a month. So just unbelievable. Since it got out of this little consolidation, you had a couple other areas of consolidation. One just the last couple days and a move higher. And it's not just this name. It's been the whole group. HUA, Hua as I call it. Billy is another name. The only one that I'm long out of this group at this point is Sogo, which is making a nice move here, or made a nice move today. So I talked about that. I actually, I think about a week and a half ago, I put a video on about how to play these names, that are just huge momentum names. So who knows how much longer this is going to last with these names. I would be very cognizant about taking profits in these names, and then letting the last piece run, right? You want to let your winners run and have some really large winners. They balance out, small losers, which, that's the whole name of the game, right? Is small losers and big winners. So, let your last piece run. But I think with these moves, you have to be taking some off the table. Make sure that you're converting your paper profits to real profits. And I can give you a couple examples, right, that we've seen, because history repeats itself with these momentum names. Now, I know I'm not comparing the company fundamentals, but we saw this with all the blockchain companies last year, right? Remember what happened with Riot? This was a name I played to the upside. So, this hit 44 and it moved quickly, a little bit different pattern, but it came down just as fast as it went up. So just be mindful of that. Once they break, I use the 5-period exponential moving average. Once they break that level, that's your signal that it lost the upside momentum. And I don't see any of those names doing it yet. Are they extended? Absolutely. But none of them really have lost that 5-period exponential moving average. But I just wanted to make you familiar with how, because you forget, even though history repeats, everybody has a little bit of short-term memory, and they forget how these things end. So again, I'm not saying that that's going to happen with the Chinese internet names, but we've seen this play out before, right? All right, so that was the first one that we saw some option activity in. Um, just a few of the other, I would even call them the second tier momentum names. I've been playing Roku. So Roku, I took half my position off today. This is a name that it gives you a great opportunity to day trade, because if you look at what this has been doing on the 5 minute bar, right? This happened yesterday too, where and using the value areas has been really key. But it did this here yesterday. I guess this was maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So Monday, it came. This name likes to sell off on the open, but it never broke the value area completely. It did this as well here, and then it ran up. So again, stopping its tracks right around the bottom of the value, and here again. So it gives you this opportunity in the beginning of the day, even today when there was a positive analyst coming out, it still sold off. And then it's a 45-degree angle up and to the right. So I took some more profits in this. I've been in and out of this name. I was in it here. I took some profits up here, and then I went back into it again. And it's been working. This name has been working out very well for me. And I love to see the positive analyst actions when you're already in the name, or the call buying when you're already in the name. Right? That's my job, to try to get into some of these names before the momentum call buying hits the tape. So very impressive with that name. Just other names, I was kind of beating myself up a little bit today with this DBX. We talked about it pre-market. I did not pull the trigger on it, and my goodness, I think it was up 20% at one point today. So just huge momentum out of this consolidation. Congratulations if you were in this one today, but I'm really a little bit upset at myself today for not pulling the trigger, because I looked at the setup. What I did trade was this Stitch, which had a fine day. It didn't go up 20%, but still, this was a chart that I sent out earlier in the week to members, saying to watch this name on earnings. We've seen this, right? Names that do well on earnings, that have been locked in a range for a while, can really get going, right? And we saw this, and it kind of gave a couple days of consolidation after the first earnings days. I mean, this is great when this happens, right? When you get a move up and it consolidates for a little bit and just kind of holds, it acts like a spring sometimes, and it could really get going, right? Just another example is another name that I played post earnings was Momo. This kind of did the same thing. And I remember even, we had some people in the trading room play this name. And after the first day, right, it gapped up on the first day. And I think some people either went into it on the close that day or the beginning of the day, after earnings, and people were like getting upset with it, because like, oh my God, it's moving down. And it was down like, a good 5%, I think, that day. And then that was it. And then it never looked back. But it kind of acted like that spring. A little bit of consolidation. This one did not give you too much time, and then leapt forward. So, talking about taking profits, what did I do in some of these names that I'm in? I'm completely out of this name. Maybe I'm getting out a little bit early, but I'm very happy with the profits that I've made in Momo. So I got out of this name. Race was another name that I played. I did not have a huge trade on, so I'm not going to jump up and down about it. But this was a nice call off of the 50-day moving average. And I was just in a $5 wide call spread, and pretty much realized all the value for that. $1.60 I think I got in, and got out today for $4.30, but way above my strikes, by the way. So again, some of these names, just the move has been so fast. So that's a couple names. Grub is another name that we've gone over a couple times now. Grub closed, I think, right around the highs of the day. Very strong breakout out of this consolidation happening. So some nice moves there. In terms of option activity, a couple names I'll highlight. There was some pretty good option activity. PCG, sorry, wrong symbol. Where is this on the list? PAGS, sorry. Every once in a while I make a mistake, but PAGS. So what did I do with this name today? Nothing. I set an alert. Again, you want to wait for when your signal is triggered. For me, the trigger is going to be above value. 34.05. So all I did today was set an alert, even though we've seen a lot of call buying in this name, repeat call buying. Also, it looks like it's ready to fire off an MACD crossover. That would be really nice on a breakout here. So this is a must watch for me tomorrow. Again, alert set. I don't have to do much. I'll wait until I get that confirmation, and then we'll see what we get. I'll tell you what I did trade today was box. Really liked sometimes the pattern or the setup just jumps off the page to you. And this is one that did for me. This made a big move up. There was an investor who spoke at a conference a couple weeks back, and this name took off. And since then, it's been flagging. It had earnings, which were okay. And it kind of came back pretty nicely, to kind of hold this bull flag pattern. And it's been holding the bottom of value. So I'm in some July calls. I'm looking for a move to the top of value, 28.53, and then we'll see what happens when we get there. It did not close on the highs, but that's okay. I took a quick target in this trade today, and then I added some back at the end of the day on the little bit of the retracement. But again, another name must watch. IGT had a investor conference today. They also announced that they're buying a small company. So this is a name that's been really a difficult name because we've seen a lot of call buying in this name, and it just hasn't reacted well. Every time, the last 2 weeks, it's gotten a little bit of a bid, it's been faded. So it's been a very tough name. So maybe this thing has turned the corner here. It's inside value. Another name to watch for tomorrow. I'll just go down the list with a couple other names. Soup, as I like to refer to it, Campbell's. Horrible earnings, but they've been buying calls, if not every day, every other day in this Campbell's. They're still buying calls today in it. A couple other names that I think are names to watch. Overstock. Again, I did not trade this one. I'm waiting for a move above 40. It has not done it yet. A lot of consolidation down here. Sometimes we get to the top of consolidation and we fail. So for me, I got to wait till this thing gets above 40 before I get involved in that name. HOLX, different name. Repeat call buying today. New fresh MACD crossover just happened a day or two ago. Kind of a very sideways looking chart, but it is above the 200-day moving average. You could use this purple line for a target up to about 43 and change. That's a decent size, percentage move if that happens. But there's certainly, we're liking that name. A lot of calls that went up. A couple other interesting trades that went up at the end of the day, and we'll kind of call it a day. MRVL, nice call buyer. July 23 calls. I'm trying to take off as much risk into this tech rally. I think tech has gotten really overbought at this point. Today I think finally clinches it for me to take, really start taking some trades off, which I mentioned a few of those trades that I kind of forced my way out of today. I just think we're getting really cooked. If you look at the performance today, diamonds were actually down on the day. So DIA, Dow Industrials, were down on the day. And Qs are up 1%. So, how much longer can that tech outperformance last? I'll look at the Qs chart in just a second. But MRVL, I thought this was very compelling. Big block of calls that went up. This one, I went out to August because I just don't want any more. I don't want any more July exposures or adding new July trades. That box will probably be the last one. There was also some STX calls that went up for next week. So maybe they're expecting something. I don't know. Maybe if somebody's reporting earnings and that space could be a catalyst. I don't know if Western Digital reports. That's another name that I always affiliate with STX. So yeah, there was a decent. I've got some put orders down here. There was some decent puts that went up for next week in the Qs. So the way I'll phrase this to you, and this video is just for information purposes only. I'm not giving any advice. But if you're not taking profits here, we've gotten cooked here, and we could get a little bit more overbought. But you're really pressing your luck, I think, at this point. The Qs are now a 70. Call it a 74 RSI. Now they've gotten here before, but notice what time. How much are you really going to flirt with being overbought? Because usually they do revert the indices. So, you don't have to take your foot off completely take your foot off the gas, because the trend is up here. And again, like I said, and I said this in yesterday's video after FOMC, we kind of had a little reversal day, but we did not get below the 5-period exponential moving average. So and you could see that even with NASDAQ futures. We maintain that. So until it happens, I guess it's not over until the fat lady sings, or it's not over until price gets below the 5-period exponential moving average. How about that for that? Also, if I didn't mention it already, apologies, it's been a long day. But if you look at the Chinese internet, the whole group of the Chinese internets versus the U.S. internets, the FDN ETF, which is another name that I'm long, also getting very overbought. It's a 78 RSI. Now, it got overbought about a week ago. It cooled off for 2 days and continued to go higher. So really a lot of strength in here, but I would keep an eye on this. This is what I call the FANG ETF. The FANG stocks, the 4 FANG stocks are your largest weights in here. So something to keep an eye on. They match the performance. Actually, the whole Chinese internet group was up 1.7%. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.